If you are having trouble in bottle feeding your baby, first of all, please try not to worry. I know it can be a frustrating and difficult time. I have been there myself with my own children. However, there are plenty of strategies that you can try and things that you could do to hopefully lead you to have a successful bottle feeding journey with your baby for whatever reason you require it. Before we get into all the tips, just to say that if your baby is exclusively formula fed and they are not taking the bottle, then you do need to speak to the GP or health visitor, especially if they are losing weight, because there could be underlying reasons for this. The first thing you need to do then is to choose your bottle, and probably you're thinking, Sophie, I've already done that. Don't tell me things I already know. However, really importantly, you need to choose your bottle and stick to it, because the temptation is with so many different brands and types of bottles out there that we buy them all and try them all and try and find one that suits our baby. And in doing so, we actually confuse our babies. We make it difficult for them to get that consistency of knowing what to expect, and it likely leads to failure more often than success. There is something to be said for finding the right bottle in the first place, and you can try a couple, but please don't spend all your money on trying all the brands. What you need to look for is the fact that most bottles have slightly different teats. A prime example of this are the Tommy Tippy bottles, which have a very rounded teat, and the Mam bottles, which have a very flat teat. Babies tend to prefer one or the other, so if you're going to try, then try with maybe a round and a flat, just to see what your baby prefers a little bit more, even if they're not taking it properly anyway. You can also think about dummies, if your baby has a dummy or a pacifier, and what brand you use with those, because quite often babies, if they like a brand of dummy or pacifier, then they are more likely to like that brand of bottle. Although saying that, that was not true of my very fussy bottle refusing baby, who in the end liked the Tommy Tippy bottles but preferred the Mam dummies. So you can't predict what they're going to like or dislike. Give it a try and see, but then once you've chosen one, remain consistent with that one brand. Keep trying with the bottle. It can be really frustrating, especially if they are just not interested in entertaining it. But if you keep on trying every few days, or every day if you can, just for once or twice in that day, then your baby is more likely to become used to the idea and potentially in the end start taking to that bottle. You can try yourself, but also it can sometimes help for somebody else to try the bottle with your baby, especially if you are breastfeeding, because your baby is most likely going to want to do that rather than drink from the bottle. So get your partner or another family member or even a friend to try giving the bottle to your baby. They may well be much more entertaining of the idea. You can even leave the room so that you're not in sight or smell of your baby, and see if that makes a difference. Try to time it right then, because if your baby is too hungry, then they are very likely to refuse the bottle. Equally, if they are too full, then they're not going to be interested either. So try and find a happy medium between the two. You can also have a go at trying when your baby is quite sleepy, because in my experience that tends to work quite well. So at nap times, or maybe even at bedtime when your baby is the most tired, you can almost trick them, because they're so sleepy, into thinking that they're getting milk from the breast when actually it's coming from the bottle. You can even start off breastfeeding your baby and then stop and switch to the bottle and see if in their sleepy state they will accept the milk from that instead. It doesn't always work, but it's worth a try. Don't forget that bottles are not your only option. There's nothing to say that a baby has to drink from a bottle, and there are plenty of other ways of introducing milk to a baby, especially if you're thinking about wanting to supplement breastfeeding or move on to bottles entirely with babies. These can be good ways of introducing the idea of milk from an alternative source. So you can try cup or spoon feeding the milk to your baby using just a small cup. You can even use a shot glass, so that the rim isn't very big and there's just a small amount of milk inside, or of course a spoon. You can also use a syringe, like a Calpol style syringe, and that can help to get the milk into your baby as well. Now, these aren't methods that you'd probably want to stick to for a long time, but they are ways of getting that milk into your baby if you absolutely have to, or your partner or somebody else has to while you aren't there. Some babies actually prefer to drink from cups with spouts, like we tend to see more for older babies and toddlers. So if you have got a slightly older baby, then you can try introducing the milk through using a cup rather than a bottle. That leads me on to talking about babies that are 6 months plus. Once your baby hits this mark, they're going to be weaning onto solids, and this is a great time to try introducing milk in an alternative form to your baby. A, they may drink it straight from the cup or a spouted cup like we just talked about, but B, you may well be able to introduce the bottle at this time. It's working. That's good. Because they're in the mindset of trying new things and trying new flavours and different ways of taking food and drink into their bodies, give them the bottle while they're eating the solid food or slightly before or afterwards, while they're sitting at the high chair even, and then they are much more likely to take it. This is actually what I did with my daughter, who's now 18 months old, and it worked. I had been so frustrated up until that point because we had tried everything, and although she would take a little bit of milk from a bottle for about 3 seconds, she would then just spit it out or chew on the teat, and she wasn't interested. This is the way that we finally got her to accept drinking milk from a bottle so that my husband and our childminder could give her milk while I wasn't there. She has never been a keen bottle feeder, and once she reached around the 12-month mark, we just switched straight to spouted cups, which were her preference, and that's absolutely fine. So you really do need to find what works best for your baby and then try as much as you can to remain consistent and stick to it. It's generally the key for everything with little ones. If your baby is very fussy at milk time, then they may have reflux or allergies. Click on this video here to find out more, and I will see you all next time. Don't forget to like the video and subscribe for more. Thank you. Bye.